Hello, beloveds. This is my first YouTube video. Yay! And I am so stoked to drop in with you all about one of my favorite topics, and that's shadow and shadow integration. So first, let's talk about what is the shadow. We are human. Duh. And a human is a shadow dancing with light. So our light is our intrinsic nature. It is our spirit and our soul essence. And our shadow is all of the density that we have accumulated throughout our childhood and past life experiences. And we carry those unintegrated patterns and frequencies from our childhood, from our past lives, into the now moment. So we're human, and we experience pain and suffering. And when we experience psychological pain, the integration, the healing happens through holding it, coming into something that is called secure relationship with ourselves. Secure relationship it's called the attachment theory. It happens when we are in our infantile states. It's all about emotional attunement, how our caregivers were able to attune to our different states of being. And that's how we learn how to attune to ourselves as an adult and as a developing being. And so every single time there's emotional attunement, there is integration, there is processing of our emotions and of our experience. And when we don't attune to ourselves, which is, again, how human, then those unintegrated, those unprocessed emotions get stored in our subconscious mind, and they continue to visit us frequently throughout the day so that they can be held, so that they can be alchemized into light, into wisdom. Every single day, we are constantly cycling through the stages of development. So there might be a pattern, frequency, because memories are ultimately the frequencies. Everything is energy, everything is frequency. So this experience right now, this is a frequency. And if there was something traumatic that happened, if there was some pain after it and I didn't hold it, then this experience that I'm having right now would continue to carry on into other present moment experiences, ultimately, so that it can be held and sealed, because that is how the psyche comes into wholeness. There's something called the window of tolerance. So there is a metaphor. Think of a riverbank. It contains, it seals, it holds the river, the flow. Our emotions are fluid. They're the water elements. And the process of psychological strength and development is being able to widen our container so that we can hold more and more experiences within a loving awareness. And so when we are experiencing certain shadows, certain unintegrated patterns, they typically will take us out of our window of tolerance. The water floods everywhere and we get totally immersed within them, which again is how human. In order for us to actually become aware of our shadows, they need to first come up to the conscious mind. And a lot of times when this happens, they overtake us. They're overbearing and we can't actually see them. We think that we are our shadows rather than being able to just witness them and hold them. So typically they'll come up, they'll flood our consciousness, and through the process of whatever your coping tools are, your spiritual practices, awareness amplifies and develops. And then we can start to integrate those shadows by widening our container. ultimately the process of spiritual development is not getting rid of our shadows. It's not possible. It's not what we're here to do. We're not here to destroy the shadows. Our shadows are our friend. There's movement, there's wisdom, there's intelligence within them. Ultimately, the process of development is about being able to notice when there is a gaping wound. That is what our shadow is. It's wounds. They're pain. I have stopped even using the word ego because it has such a heavy and dense connotation in the spiritual community. Instead, I like to look at it as a wounded child because ultimately that's what our shadow is. If it's not wounds from our childhood, it's wounds from our ancestors. We carry intergenerational trauma. It's pain from our past lives that continues to, again, visit us. That frequency, that memory is actually alive in the present moment. So often we think that we are the patterns, the textures of the present moment. But ultimately, we are the one standing back, witnessing and widening our container to hold. So these unintegrated patterns continue to show up day by day, moment by moment, because they want to turn into strength. They want to help our psyche mature. Something that I really love to ask myself often is, how old are you right now? How old are you right now? Really? Because when I am in emotional regulation, when I am holding the riverbank, I am my adult self. But because we're human, we're not always going to be our adult selves because all of those wounds want to turn into scars. Again, all of the gaping, bloody wounds want to turn into scars. And so when they come up to the surface, to the conscious mind, either through triggers or a song or Instagram or YouTube, whatever it might be, they are wanting to integrate into scars, into wisdom. And so when we ask ourselves, how old am I right now? It heightens our awareness to be able to sit back and say, wow, this texture, wow, I am revisiting this. This is from, excuse me. This is from when I was 18. This is old stuff. Or maybe we don't even know what it's from because maybe it's ancient. Maybe it's from previous lives. But the more we start to become aware of, wow, this feels familiar. I definitely spiraled through this again. Then we can sit there and we can hold it. Within holding, there is healing. I believe that healing is merely holding. It is heartfulness, not just mindfulness, not just being aware of our experience, but holding it with a warm heart, with kindness. And within this heartfulness, we discover the psychological wholeness that is always present. Psychological wholeness is not about this idealized state of being. Psychological wholeness is the totality of the messiness, of the flaws, of the present moment, exactly as it is in this now moment. And as we learn to integrate our shadows, as we learn to widen our container, we start to notice how we are, oh, my throat, intrinsically whole within all of the experiences. There is nothing broken. There is nothing wrong or bad about us. All of these patterns just want to come up because, again, in our previous childhood experiences, they were unprocessed, they were unfinished. And the process of holding is what seals them. It's what finishes these energetic charges. It's what allows the frequency to go from density into expansion. Ultimately, what the shadow is a contracted state of being. And Acceptance is what allows expansion. Kindness is what allows expansion and allows these energies to keep flowing and moving so that we can ultimately embody more of our soul potential, our soul essence. And so these dense emotions, these dense frequencies, these patterns, the 7-year-old that was being bullied on the playground that's revisiting in this present moment through a trigger, there's nothing bad about that. There's nothing wrong with it. It just isn't really who you are. Yes, it's part of your experience, but it's not you. And so as we can sit back and be like, wow, 7-year-old, here you are. Here you are. Here you are. I see you. I love you. You're welcome here. That's what allows it to start to seal. That's what allows it to become a scar. Because so many humans are walking around as their 8-year-old self, as their 13-year-old self, with these bloody, gaping wounds all day long. These wounds want to turn into scars. And this is the main difference between the shadow and the integrated shadow. The shadow, again, is unconscious. It lives in the subconscious. And it's constantly making its way to the light. When we're living in our shadow, we typically think that's who we are. We think we're the shame, the anxiety, the whatever it might be. As we integrate our shadow, there's a different level of awareness. That doesn't mean that we're not going to react or that we're going to be quote unquote perfect, but an integrated shadow is being able to notice, wow, 7-year-old, you're here. Okay. And that gives some of the power back to instead react and be impulsive from these habitual states of being, to sit back and contain, to firm up our energy fields and to stay with ourselves. And that's the power of spiritual practice. Any coping tools or strategies, they help us. Ultimately, they don't free us from anything besides they free our awareness to be able to stay with ourselves. We can't escape these patterns. But the more we practice, the more emotional resilience we cultivate, the more emotional strength we embody, and the more we can widen our container to notice when these patterns arise in the present moment. And instead of being flooded and completely taken away by them, we can hold ourselves with more equanimity, which is this radical acceptance ultimately. The art of being human is not experiencing density. Again, we are the light dancing with shadow. As a human being, we're going to have a dense body. One of my mentors once said that the ascension process is not about leaving this earth realm, not about leaving the body. It's about purging all of the density ultimately, so that we can anchor in more of the light, more of the higher frequencies. And this is the process of integrating the shadow. As we become aware of the dense energetic body, as we hold it with the lightness, with the warmth of that container, then we can ultimately anchor more of the frequencies of what our spirit and soul really is. If there's anything that I would love for you to take away from this video today, it's to remember that you are whole. You are whole within all of the shame, within all of the self-doubt and criticism. It's not you. It's psychosocial, meaning it's coming from ancestral wounds in the system of fear. It's not who you are, but you are whole within it, because you are the wholeness that is containing it. And my greatest wish for you is to befriend your shadow, to embrace it, to know that it is holy and sacred. There is nothing wrong with you, no matter how much you experience shadow, no matter how frequently you are not in your emotionally regulated adult self. You are still perfect and complete. And that is the importance of devoting ourselves to our healing path, to coping tools that help us regulate, and choosing that as a number one value, because the more that we choose regulation as a lifestyle, the more we will find ourselves in that adult self, and the more we integrate and purge out the dense energetic bodies. So if there's one practice that I would love for you to take away today from this integrating shadows video, it is the practice of heartfulness. Again, not just mindfulness, not just awareness, but embracing yourself with a warm presence. I like to say that radical acceptance without words, without needing to use any mantras or phrases, is just sitting there with a warm smile. Like this. Softening your body. And just smiling. Shadow, I see you. The more you smile, the more it helps you drop into your parasympathetic nervous system. The more it just naturally soothes, like a mother, like a caregiver holding their child, rocking their nervous system to sleep, allowing it to, again, alchemize and integrate into a scar. So I highly encourage you. Another practice is to put your hands on your heart while you smile. Is just to hold yourself. And just smile at it. Just with this gesture of, I see you. And you're okay. You're safe. You're welcome. I see you. And I hope that you will come back for more videos. Again, this is my first YouTube video around one of my favorite topics, which is shadow integration. And I will be posting more about all different topics: shadow, intuitive eating, goddess activations, etc. So if you enjoyed this video, please press the subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos. Follow my Instagram, my Facebook. I will have that in my bio. And please share this video. Send it to your friends if it resonated and you received some medicine. Until next time, adios.